Let's talk about thought-stopping cliches. Thought-stopping cliches are a linguistic device used by organizations such as cults in order to indoctrinate their members. These thought-stopping cliches, slogans, or platitudes are designed to stop the thinking and questioning process. After being exposed to these linguistic devices long enough, the subject will develop the habit of relying on dogma rather than analysis. The thought-stopping process is very effective. It does take time for it to work, sometimes many years. But after the subject has been exposed to thought-stopping devices long enough, there is a result. The subject responds to any criticism of the organization to which they belong in a standard and predictable manner. Because they have been trained to rely on dogma rather than logic and reason, they have been indoctrinated. Let's take a look at Alcoholics Anonymous, an obviously religious organization. If you heard a little voice inside your head say, "It's spiritual, not religious," you have been indoctrinated. This is something that you learned to say in response to the observation that AA is obviously religious. It is dogma, in that it is considered by the group to be absolute and indisputable. It is not intended to be held up for analysis. One is not supposed to determine clear, reliable, and agreed upon definitions of the words spiritual and religious, and then establish how a spiritual organization should act socially, legally, and ideologically in contrast to a religious organization. It's spiritual, not religious. The thinking process stops there. If you heard a little voice in your head say something like, "Religion is for people who are afraid to go to hell. Spirituality is for those of us who have been there," you have been indoctrinated. This is another of AA's thought-stopping slogans that avoids addressing the issues of social, legal, medical, and ethical responsibility of an organization that claims to be helping people. This response is dogma. It is based on repetition and indoctrination, not logical analysis. If you heard a little voice inside your head say something like, "No one is required to believe anything in AA," or "These are only suggestions," or "We are free to take what we want and leave the rest," you have been indoctrinated. You have been indoctrinated with the belief that there are no valid criticisms of AA. You have been indoctrinated to believe that people who have complaints about this organization should just shut up. On the surface, these platitudes seem to embrace individualism. It sounds as if you are free to embrace or reject the suggestions according to your individual beliefs. Consider this. What if you do not wish to embrace or ignore the suggestions, but evaluate them and determine if they are of any real value? Are you allowed to analyze the suggestions, deconstruct them, or establish new suggestions? No. Take what you want and leave the rest. This slogan has an underlying authoritarian fascism. What it is designed to do is train the members of AA to indiscriminately reject any criticism of the basic literature. Calling it suggestion and telling people that they are free to ignore suggestions makes AA literature, in the mind of the 12-stepper, immune to criticism. The result? Today, AA uses the exact same basic text that they used 68 years ago. Today, AA's basic text is still suggesting that alcoholics are suffering from something called a spiritual disease, that there are no atheists or agnostics, just people who think they are and have not been converted yet. That women ought to tolerate an abusive drunken husband and not complain about his abuse. And that people who do not completely give themselves to the simple program are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. And that resentments are the dubious luxury of normal men, etc., etc. If you heard that voice in your head saying that these are only suggestions, take what you want and leave the rest, nobody is required to believe anything in AA, and that this writing reflects the attitude of men from the 1930s and nobody takes this stuff seriously, again, you have been indoctrinated. The fact of the matter is that AA fails 95% or more of the people who are introduced to it. People end up dead because they embrace the belief that AA somehow works as a treatment for alcoholism. And it does not. That was not a suggestion. If you heard that little voice telling you that AA doesn't fail anyone, some people fail AA, you have been indoctrinated. If you hear that voice telling you that AA works if you work it, or it worked for me and that's all that matters, or it has saved the lives of millions of alcoholics, you have been indoctrinated. Let's take a look at one nifty little piece of AA fascist dogma. Your higher power can be anything you want it to be as long as it's not you. This is one of the thought-stopping cliches that is often given as a response to the person who points out the obvious fact that the steps are about God and religious conversion. There is another group that has picked up on this little excuse to push religiosity on the general public: the creationists. More specifically, those creationists who euphemistically refer to their brand of creationism as intelligent design. If you heard a little voice in your head saying that intelligent design is not creationism, you have been indoctrinated. These particular creationists insist that their brand of religiosity is not religious because the intelligent designer can be anything you want it to be. They give examples of a computer programmer, a little green man on Mars, a grand cosmic whatnot that looks like anything you want it to look like. Where did they get this tactic? Alcoholics Anonymous. I use this example to demonstrate how destructive AA indoctrination is on a societal level. It promotes superstition and denigrates science. If you decide that you can ignore all of these serious problems with AA by calling them outside issues, or stating that your personal experience does not reflect this, consider the idea of saying some things that are critical of AA. Ask yourself if there are some problems with the 12-step program. If you decide that it would be harmful to yours or someone else's recovery to say anything critical about AA, you have been indoctrinated. If you have drawn some conclusions about me from this video, such as, I have not been to enough meetings, I have not been to the right meetings, I do not know what AA is, experience with AA, that this video is my disease talking, that I do not understand the meaning of the word suggestion, or that I am unfamiliar with the AA preamble, that I am all use, that I am drunk, that I want to be drunk, that I do not understand the disease of addiction, that I have a resentment, that I am angry, that I am constitutionally incapable of being honest with myself, that I am killing people or causing them to relapse with these videos, that this is a hate video, that whenever I want to come back to AA, the door is always open, that I need a drink, that I am mentally ill, that I am a dry drunk, that I should sit down, shut up, and learn something, or that I should just take what I want and leave the rest. That's right. You have been indoctrinated.